This is the time of year when many people do resolutions, and about this time last year, I made a video on how I set goals in Obsidian, specifically how instead of resolutions, I do something called OKRs, objectives and key results. So in that video, I talk about how I tie each OKR to yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily goals, using the periodic notes plugin in Obsidian. Here's the thing. What all that got me last year was burnt out. So here's why and how I'm doing something different this year. In 2023, I released a course in Obsidian for beginners called Obsidian for Everyone. I spoke at 9 events on 3 continents, which means I was traveling for 122 days of the year, and I went to 11 countries and 23 cities. I released 124 videos on many different channels in 3 different languages, and I thought that I wasn't doing enough. So I publicly announced here on this channel that I was going to be writing a book on Obsidian. I got burnt out, so I decided that I would go and read and listen to everything on burnout and write notes about it, and then also create content on burnout. So I made 6 videos about different aspects of burnout just to make sure that I really learned about it, because that's how you prevent burnout, right? Even my fun was obsessive. Last year I played 105 games, tabletop role-playing game sessions, and used 12 different systems. It turns out, for me at least, that setting these lofty objectives with very clearly defined measures of success and failure only encouraged me to prioritize short-term productivity over things like my physical and mental health. So no more objectives. Here's what I'm doing instead. Recently, I listened to the Cortex podcast where CGP Grey and Mike Hurley, 2 content creators that I admire, talked about how they don't do objectives or resolutions. Instead, they do yearly themes. The idea of a yearly theme is that it is a single direction for your entire year. And the best part is, you don't even have to figure out what exactly that theme means until you've gone through the entire year. So this year, I'm just throwing out OKRs and doing a yearly theme. 2024 for me is the year of remembering who I am, what I actually want to do, the people that I want to spend time with, what actually gives me energy to do, and also just being relentless and unapologetic about deciding whether or not to do things based on whether it detracts from or encourages that remembrance, that returning to the core of me. Here's how I'm going to do it in Obsidian. So this is my Patreon vault, and I already have a workflow for doing periodic notes that I'm not going to be changing. However, if you do want to do a yearly theme with me, this is what you're going to have to do. I would suggest that you create a new note, and I'm going to call it the Year of Remembering. I'm going to create that note and move it to reviews, just because I want it to be in that folder, and I'm just going to leave it at that for now. I'm not going to fill anything out. You can if you want to, but I kind of like the idea of how in the Cortex podcast they talked about discovering the meaning of the theme as you go throughout the year. So I'd really like to do that. So then I'm going to open up the daily note, or the daily template at least, and there's some tasks here. There's a bunch of other things. Specifically, I'm going to be changing this daily review. I'm going to highlight all of this actually, and instead of daily review, I'm going to create a section called reflection. Then I'm going to link to the Year of Remembering. So what's that going to look like? Well, now if I go and generate that daily note, so for me there's a shortcut for that, and this is what today's new note is going to look like. At the bottom here is a section called Reflection. So in this section, my idea is that I'm going to journal a little bit every day about what I remembered about myself today, or what I cut out of my life because of a remembrance of who I am and what I actually want to do. I'm going to journal about what remembering means. Maybe it's remembering people, or remembering mistakes that I've made, or remembering nice things that I've done in the past. So let's just say journal here. And the cool thing is that when you go back to 2024 Year of Remembering, when I go to the backlink section, I'm going to be able to see every instance where I've linked to it. So here I'm already seeing today's note, and my idea is that at the end of the year, I would have a list of all of the days where I reflected on this specific theme. And just to make this a little bit nicer, I'm also going to go into the settings here and then backlinks, and I'm going to toggle on backlink in document so that then when I open it up, I'm not even going to need to see it on this extra pane. I'm going to be able to see it right here. And that's it. I'm keeping it really simple this year. Productivity isn't everything. I'm still going to be making stuff, but you know what? I never needed goals to do that because I already naturally want to do that. What I did need to know and to remember that I didn't naturally do is what it's like to just be me. Something that I feel like I lose track of sometimes, and then to just accept that without asking myself for more or less. I'm still going to be doing some objectives. The reality is that at work, in my day job, we still have these quarterly objectives that we have to commit to the entire company. But that's work, and I'm still going to be very intentional about using that yearly theme at work to guide those OKRs, and I'm going to try to get away with as little as possible. But so much of my life is outside of work, so much of work is my life, and so much of life is work. So the lines get a little bit blurry, and for everything else, I'm just going to use the year of remembering and let that be the North Star that guides me. If you still want to do the yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily reviews, then check out this video from last year where I take you through how I do just that. If you're on my Patreon, you can just download the vault. I've already done the work and the macros and the setup for you, and you can just copy it. But if you're on this journey with me, what is your yearly theme? Thanks for watching. Have a happy 2024.